Have you ever noticed that in the Star Wars movies, the first time that anyone ever talks about the light in connection with the Force is in The Force Awakens? Not until the 7th movie that they mention the light in regards to the Force. It's when Kylo Ren talks about the pull of the light. Up until then, it's just been the Force and the dark side. And my view on it is that the Force is pretty much synonymous with the light side. There is no light side per se, it's just the Force. And the dark side is a corruption of the Force. So it's not like two halves of the coin, it's just the Force. The light side is the Force in its natural state it wants to be in. And the Jedi protect that state. The Force, as it's been described in A New Hope by Obi-Wan Kenobi, is an energy field created by all living things. So that suggests that the Force, the will of the Force, is to serve all living things equally. And when it does so, it's in balance. But the dark side users, like the Sith, they bend the Force to their will. They serve their own will, and they force, if you'll excuse the pun, force the Force to serve them. So that puts the Force out of balance, and I think that corresponds with some of the things George Lucas had said about the balance of the Force in interviews. In the prequel trilogy, there's been this prophecy that the Chosen One will come and bring balance to the Force. So it seems that because he does come at the time of the prequel trilogy, that the Force is in balance at that time. And some have suggested, well, there's too many Jedi, there's too many light side users, that it's tipped towards the light, and there needs to be equal parts, light and dark in order to be in balance. No, I don't think that's the case. Because Obi-Wan said that for 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights had been the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic. So it existed that way for thousands of generations without being out of balance. So I don't think that's what brought it out of balance. I think it's that the Jedi had lost their way. The Jedi, with good intentions, had become servants of the Republic rather than servants of the Force, and the Republic at that time was led by a Sith. So they ended up serving the dark side in their attempt to serve the Force inadvertently, and in the scales had tipped to the dark side. I've heard that they've said that there's probably going to be a lot more about gray Jedi going forth. Maybe Luke has become a gray Jedi, and that you would use the light and the dark side of the Force. Now, the way I see the Force, I don't see that happening. I don't see you be able to use the dark side of the Force and not use evil, because the dark side of the Force is selfishness. It's using the Force for your own will. In A New Hope, Obi-Wan says to Luke that the Force controls your Jedi's actions partially, but also obeys his commands, which is like a perfect symbiotic relationship. The Jedi trusts in the Force, and the Force, in turn, trusts in the Jedi. For the Sith, it's a completely parasitic relationship. They take the Force and they bend it to their will to get what they want. So I think that we may see the gray addressed. I don't think they're going to advocate that the gray is where you want to be. You don't want to have equal parts light and dark. You don't want to have equal parts good and evil, because do you really want to live in that world? Do you really want to live in a world where half the people you interact with every day are evil? No, a balance is not equal parts good and evil. A balance is a prominent good with evil minimized as much as possible.